let's say we have a training program designed to upgrade the supervisory skills of probation officers. And because this program is self-administered, meaning what? It's like a home study program. So probation officers, it depends how much time each officer is going to take to finish that program. It varies from one person to another person. So a study was done, and it was found that on the average, the probation officers, they needed 500 hours to complete that program. So your mean is 500 with a standard deviation of 100 hours. That means if you are going to use this formula, then two things are given. Your mean for the population is given, that's 500. Your standard deviation for the population, sigma, that is given. So these two things will always be given to you. And then they are going to ask you these different kinds of questions. So the first question is, what is the probability that an officer will take between 500 and 650 hours? 500 is your mean. That means it's right there in the middle. Anything more than the mean is to your right, anything less than the mean is to your left. So 650, that has to be somewhere around here because it's higher than 500. So let's look at these things I gave you guys in your handout. So right in the middle of that normal distribution, you have your mean, which is mu. That's page number 3. And then 650. That was the question. It says how many, or what is the probability that an officer will take between 500 and 650. So under the normal curve, if you look at this picture, this is the area we are talking about. The area under the curve between 500 and 600. And once you know that area, and that's the probability. So how do we do it? We use the same formula Z, and the number which we need to use, that X here is 650. Because if you, this is what the problem we have here. Right here in the middle, we don't need to calculate that because we know that this is right in the middle. That means middle meaning if we are going at the right hand side of this curve, we know this right hand side, the whole right hand side is 0.5. Now, if they're asking you what is the probability that it will take between 500 and 650, that means you need to look at this area. Let me ask you a question. If they're asking you what is the probability that a person will take more than 650, then which way you look at? More than 650. So you're not looking at this, then you'll be looking at this side. So first step, we are talking about this area here. So we put all these things in this formula. So we need to find out the z-score for this, because the z-score for this will give you the area from here to here. So we need to calculate the z-score for 650. So we have 650 minus 500 divided by 100. We have 1.5. Now if you look at 1.5 on the table, 1.5 exactly. So we have one digit after the decimal point. So 1.5 is 0.4332. So the area between 500 and 650 is 0.4332. And our z-score is 1.5. So this is the area. Now from this number we got, this area, we have to find out the percentage. How do you find out the percentage?
100.
Multiplied by 100, so what do we get? 43.32. So now your answer will be the probability that a probation officer will finish the program between 500 and 650 hours is 43.3. That's it, that's your answer. Or even like, you can just keep it very simple if you want to keep it like 0.43, 43%, 0.4, 40%. Okay, next question, next example I have given you here. What is the probability that an officer will take more than 700 hours to complete the program? More than 700 hours. See, when you are working on these questions, always draw the diagram. Because if you don't draw the diagram, because you need to figure out which side of this midpoint you are trying to use. So always draw the diagram, write down the numbers they are given you, and then go from there. It will be a whole lot easier. So for the second question, we still have the same mean, which is 500, and they are saying more than 700 hours. So we are looking at the right side of this card. So 700 will be, let's say, somewhere here. More than 700 is this area. Okay. Now, if we calculate the z-score for 700, what do we get? We get this area. Because all these things we are calculating, that is giving us the area from the mean to that point. So the z-score, we calculate the z-score for 700, and the answer we got is z equal 2. So z equal 2, and then from this table we find out 2.0 is 0.4772. That means this part here is 0.4772. But we are not interested in this part. We are interested in this one here. And half of this card is 0.5. So, and this area is 0.4772. So how do we figure out this area? Half of this curve is 0.5, the whole thing. We found out this part is 0.4772. So how do we find out this part? Subtract, yes. So subtract 0.4772 from 0.5, and that's it. So you will write the probability that somebody will take more than 700 hours is, what did I do here?
I was going to say you added.
I added. I did a wrong thing.